Good evening. The November 22nd, 2022 Ways and Means Committee meeting is now called to order. I will call in Councilmember Saccharin for our invocation. Councilman Saccharin.
Thank you, Chairman. Let us all pause in silence and close our eyes and take a few moments to reflect upon those things for which we ought to give thanks. All of us, according to our beliefs, each in our own way. Let us set aside any notion of taking anything for granted and recognize an attitude of gratitude. For there are many great things that should prompt us to be thankful. Let us be thankful for our family, that we are together during this time, that we laugh and catch up on old times. For those who have traveled, we may be thankful for their safe arrivals. Let us be thankful for our health and remember our dear friends, our neighbors, and our colleagues, all of those whom we owe a debt of gratitude for their support and humble assistance and their companionship during this time. I hope each of us has a safe and happy Thanksgiving. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Item 2, do I hear a motion on the November 8th?
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on the November 8th, 2022 minutes? If not, all in favor say aye. Bids and purchases? Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 4. It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on item 4? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Item 5.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Item 6. Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Item 7. Mr. Mayor.
I did want to mention, and I don't know if anyone's here that has the number, but the savings in carbon output from this conversion to the LED lights, and this is for the conventional mast street lights that we have, is remarkable. Maybe by the beginning of city council, I'll get that number. I think Katie was supposed to get it for us, but it really fulfills a big shot of our climate action plan, this conversion to LED lights for our street lights. And I just want to mention that.
As well as the saving, Mr. Mayor, $9,000 a month. Yes. Item 7, again, we had a second. Okay. That's probably the second time we did that, isn't it? It is. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 8.
Move for approval.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Mayor?
I just wanted to shout out to Councilmember Seekings for kind of putting this deal together and our business neighborhood services. And I think it'll go a long way to adding yet another safety component to Upper King Street and our efforts up there. But thank you, Councilmember, for your work on this.
Councilman Siddiqui?
Just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. I really did very little of the work. And Meg Thompson's here. She really worked hard on this and is continuing to work hard on this. We should have it all in place and launched by the second week in December, a full complement of 31 businesses. I think we're not quite there yet, but we're going to get there. Also, Deputy Chief Thompson is here, just in case you have any questions. I don't know if you all know this, but the technology, the software that we're going to put in the hands of the businesses, our police department currently uses it. So we know it works. And I think if you had any questions, Chief Thompson can tell you that. So another tool out there, a good partnership between the city and the late night establishments, of whom we ask a lot, giving them back just a little bit so we can make King Street more hospitable and safe. That's really, I think,
And more,
right in our sweet spot of what we do here at City Council. So,
and more importantly, make sure there's no underage drinking.
absolutely. So I would thank and urge each one of you to support this, and we'll report back, tell you how it's going.
Okay. All right. Councilmember
Yeah.
Mitchell.
I said, I'm glad to see it's happening too, because I think this would help a lot in that particular area, even like it's, if you know that young people that's drinking that's underage. And when they're getting like that and they're drinking and they don't know what they're doing after they get intoxicated, if you may, and they're up in the streets doing certain things. So this would kind of help to alleviate some of that, even with the businesses and with the business, and attention that they can do something to stop them from coming in to do it, that they wouldn't get in trouble with doing this, selling underage young people alcohol. So I think this is going to be a great in that area, and it will help us out a lot and help even the police department out a lot doing this. And see, the businesses will have to be making sure that they're using this to help us doing that. So we wouldn't have to have all our public safety officers down there, just looking and trying to check people for, if they're underage. So this would help out a lot. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, Councilmember Pell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm fully supportive of this. I think this is a great partnership and a good pilot program. Let's just be cognizant of the fact that this is not going to prevent young people from drinking underage. This is just going to maybe shift where that activity takes place. So let's just be cognizant that as we're reviewing this, we're paying attention to how this impacts our neighborhoods and things of that nature, especially on the peninsula.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Item 9.
Move for approval. Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Councilmember Parker.
Do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I spoke to you briefly earlier. I know I wasn't aware, I didn't see this until it came onto the agenda on Thursday, and was wondering in what committee it was discussed. And I think it was discussed, you told me it was discussed in executive session.
At the ad hoc executive session, yeah.
I would certainly like to have seen this have been in discussion, in our budget workshop. Just seeing that we're talking about the budget right now, raising taxes, we have sort of a shortfall. Again, that's really my only comment. I obviously want to see all of our employees get bonuses. We want to see them get paid more, get bonuses, all of this. But I certainly just wish that we had, again, since we're so close to having another budget workshop, and we're looking at that shortfall and trying to find a way to make up for it. That would have been, I would have liked to see it there, but
This is one way that you can keep the best and the brightest and to attract the best and the brightest. So there's more to this than just giving away money. Councilman Shade.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to give a shout out to you and Councilmember Waring for generating this idea and echoing your comments that you just made. So we're going to pass a budget, hopefully, that's going to see a huge pay increase across the board for our employees. But as you have brought out, and Councilman Waring has brought out, there's more to it than just a pay increase that we're dealing with on retention of our employees, all of whom I think are viable employees. There's sometimes you have to give people a pat on the back, and you can do that in various ways. We've talked about incentive pay. We talked about the ability to be promoted within. You and I have grown up, Councilmember Mitchell, have grown up in the federal system. We understand that well, of how that operates. So in the big scheme of things, while $2 million is a good chunk of change and significant amount of money that we're spending, I think at the end of the day, the dividends that are going to be received from our constituents, our community, the people who are being served by our employees is going to be well surpassing the money that we're paying out on this thing. The higher more people come in and to train them, whatever department that they're in, is an expense. We've seen that in the fire department, particularly the police department, particularly of getting these folks to come back in and train them. If we can retain 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, whatever that number may be, I just wanted to applaud you and Councilman Ware for bringing this to the forefront on having this pass. So
Thank you.
very good. And I understand Councilman Parker's concerns, but I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a very positive step in the right direction.
Mayor, and then Councilman Gray.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And also appreciate the concern about next year's budget. Of course, this funding is coming from this year's budget from employee savings because of all those vacancies we had. Hopefully with the compensation adjustment we have for next year, we're going to be filling those vacancies. But the point I'd like to share is that because those vacancies were there, all of our employees were pulling extra weight. You know, they were really hustling to try to, even though we might have been falling behind a little bit on some things, and that was because we had so many vacancies, but those employees that were there were really hustling and trying to make up for the vacancies that were there and trying to get the job done. So I just view it as a small tip of the hat. Thank you to them for this year, for what they did in 2022. And I certainly hope y'all support it. And I also thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Councilmember Waring for bringing this idea forward.
Councilman Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quick question. So we had a bonus issued earlier this year that was $3.2 million from ARPA funds. And I don't remember exactly how that broke out, but I just was curious as to how this is going to be distributed to the employees. Do you have any clarity on that you could provide us?
So it'll be a uniform bonus to all employees. All employees will be included. And then we do allow departments to make requests for individual kind of special performance. And we expect to have a few of those recommendations as well.
Do you have a rough idea as to what amount that's going to be per employee?
It'll be a little less than $1,000 per employee, and then after the taxes come out, it's it nets down below that. I think the figure is more like 700, to be honest with you.
I just think it's important for us to know what that means.
When you're having 1,700 employees, it adds up pretty quick.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions on this? Councilman Siddiqui.
Just very briefly, because I do think, process is important. We talk about that, and I thank you for bringing that up. Just to be so clear, and the mayor did mention it, this money is coming out of a budget we've already passed.
Correct.
It's salary surplus money, so we're not raising taxes for it or any of that. And, you got salary surplus because you are understaffed. It makes logical sense that those people who are filling in those positions are working a little extra hard. And, in the end, $750 isn't much, but it's something, right? So then we'll talk about the budget going forward next week.
Yes. Any further discussion on this item?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Years ago, I used to serve as chairman of the South Carolina Jobs Economic Development Authority. That works with the Department of Commerce to try to recruit industry, to recruit the Boeings and the Nucors and the Googles into the state of South Carolina. Well, some years ago, we had the opportunity to recruit Microsoft, a pretty serious division of Microsoft into the state of South Carolina. We lost out to North Carolina because we didn't have the incentives baked in to recruit intellectual property. We had the incentives baked in for smokestack industries. So if you needed a railroad, you needed a railway coming into a factory, you needed electrical power, you needed water and sewage, you needed a roadway. We had all of that. But in the case of Microsoft, the most valuable asset they have is the people walking in the office building and the people walking out. And to parrot the mayor, I couldn't be, and Councilman Shahid, the most important asset that the city of Charleston has, I know all 13 of us agree with this, but I think bodes well to be said, is the people that come to work for the city every day. Even during the pandemic, even during a period of time when we were down some 250 employees, everybody pitched in. Even when we were fearful of furloughing people, it was a lot of department heads that came forward and said, you know, we can also save money. And I remember going with Councilmember Appel saying, how can we get another 400,000? I mean, we were that tight on not furloughing people. And it was a member of staff, I could call the name, but I won't, that came forward and said, we can save some more money this way. And we did, Mayor Teckenberg. And you're right, it's the people that hung in there with us when frankly, you know, a lot of talk on the news was there was so much stimulus money out there until people just wasn't coming to work, but our people came. So when I think of the International African American Museum, the Gilliard, the Battery, White Points Garden, I mean, all the wonderful assets, Biddlebank Park that this city has, the most vital asset that we have is our people who walk in and out of the city every day to run it. If they don't show up, we no longer number one. We no longer number two. We go down real fast. So we're the largest city in the state. And we have some of the most complex projects, I think, certainly in the state, in some cases, the union. When you look at the September Clark Spring Fishburne Drainage Project, it's a model to behold. And look at our in-house people with one of the most beautiful linear parks that we all get to enjoy that's taking place, unfolding right now on the Low Battery, headed at record pace at tremendous savings costs because of an in-house employee watching over the dollars and cents to see when we can't watch over it. He certainly has the knowledge to watch over and has literally saved millions of dollars on that project. So I thank all our council members for thinking about it. And you're right, process, Ms. Parker. Maybe we should have included more people on the executive session. I would agree with that. But that said, we'll be better the next time around. But I thank everybody for pushing the elbows and just saying job well done. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. As the largest city in the state, the #1 tourist destination, that just didn't happen. But for our employees, I don't think that would happen. Just imagine a city without them. Our employees are our greatest asset. And I think what we need to do is pay them accordingly. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. I will call on Chairman Appel, Committee on Real Estate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on Real Estate met yesterday afternoon at 3:30. There were only 2 items on our agenda other than our annexations. The first was a request from the Children's Museum of the Low Country for a lease amendment that would have entailed a $1.2 million contribution to the museum from hospitality taxes and a $50,000 a year contribution from the city annually until the year 2120. The future, 100 years. It's a 100-year lease extension. So there was some heartburn on the committee. I think that's fair to say about the term of that agreement. There was also some discussion at the meeting that that $1.2 million was really it was really an intent to get 3 times that much in hospitality fees. So what we talked about was going back to the drawing board, trying to pull together some more support from the community and donor bases, come back to us. And the city, I think, is ready, willing, and able to make serious commitments to improve the facility over there. We want the facility to remain. It's a very important part of the city, but we need to have all the pieces in place before the city can get comfortable with that sort of commitment. And so ultimately, we deferred that item. The hope is that the Children's Museum will come back to us with more of those details soon. The other item was a parking lease agreement for the International African American Museum. This is for the back surface lot of the Charleston Maritime Center. And that, of course, was approved unanimously. And there was some good discussion from the mayor about maybe finding some funds to enhance the curb appeal of that parking lot, especially considering what it's serving, which is a truly amazing addition to our community. I had the opportunity to tour the International African American Museum on Friday. It is exceptional what they have done over there. And you want to talk about incredible job by our city employees and everybody over at the museum. I can't wait for the grand opening early next year. So we then consider, I think this is certainly a record since I've been on the chair of the real estate committee, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 annexations that all were approved unanimously. We had 4 in District 11, 4 in District 9, and 1 in District 5. And thanks to everybody who helped facilitate that. And with that being said, that concludes my report. And I move for it to be approved.
Moved and properly seconded. Discussion, Councilman Shea.
I just want to pick back up on the discussion that Councilman Rappel had on the Children's Museum. We had a pretty thorough and spirited discussion about that. Somewhat surprising with the request that they made concerning the work that needs to be done, and comments being made were that we want this to be a first-class Children's Museum. We have a first-class Gibbs Museum of Art. We have a first-class Charleston Museum, and they certainly want to be on that same level of those institutions as well. However, what was missing from this was a clear definition and plan of what they need overall. 5 million, I think, was some of the number we heard about it around, bring this thing up to snuff. But to a member of that committee, we all were committed to helping them in getting to that goal. I mean, we have a very good track record in the city of supporting our museums and our arts. And this is a hands-on museum. The word museum is sort of a misnomer for this place, because it's a hands-on operation, and our children benefit from that. And they do service a lot of our citizens and in the community. However, we just need to find a better way of getting them the money that they need, with the oversight that I think that we need to be provided to them. I've had discussions with the representatives from the museum about placing members of council on that committee. And in tongue in cheek, I volunteered a couple of our committee members on there. But we do need to include some of our younger council members who have children, or our older council members who got grandchildren, to be on the board of the Children's Museum, to help guide them and push them in the direction I think that they need to be going in to get this thing to the point that they need to be. So the deferral that I made yesterday was not to deny them this opportunity. The deferral was to go back, find a blank canvas, redraw the lines, give us some definition as how we could better serve them and help them down the road. So I hope that will happen. We want them to be successful. We want them to be a first-class operation. We can do that in partnering with them. So we'll see what happens probably the first of the year. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Is there anything else to be, Mayor?
Chairman, I did want to share on the lighting change up to the LEDs. And I think most people would guess that streetlights are a major component of the city's energy use. We pay for all that power generating those lights every night in our city, but this conversion will save us 31% of our energy usage of all those lights. I'm told it's over 3.7 million kilowatt hours per year. And that's a lot of energy savings, and you do the equation, and it's a huge number in metric tons of carbon savings per year. So we're saving a little money as well. So
Yes.
all good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
If there's nothing else to come before this committee, happy Thanksgiving. This meeting's adjourned.